is where children belong. Welcomed as part of our worshiping throng. Water, God's wood, bread, and cup, prayer and song. This is where children belong. Good morning, my friends. Good morning. I know we're sitting a little different than we normally do because I want to share this story with you, so I have some things I want to lay right here. So I know it's a little different than our normal, but we're going to try something different today. So today is Easter, and when we think about Easter, we think about Easter baskets. Who here got an Easter basket maybe this morning? Or you're going to maybe get one soon, and it has maybe some candy in it and some goodies. And we think about springtime, and we think about all the new things that are happening. And we also think about the day of why we're here today, which is the resurrection of Jesus. Now that story, that part of Easter is a little trickier to understand, right? It's kind of a confusing story. In fact, I've heard that story since I was little, and I'm not sure I 100% understand completely the story because it is a very mysterious story. In fact, the disciples, the followers of Jesus, they were there and they still had questions and were confused. So it's okay if we don't fully understand today's story of Jesus being risen again. It's hard for us to understand, but I'm going to tell you the story. So are you guys ready? There once was a man who loved big enough to change the world. And this is a picture of Jesus. Now, remember, Jesus was around over 2,000 years ago. So were there cameras? No, there were no cameras. So this is what we're going to guess Jesus kind of looked like. So this is not a real picture of Jesus, right? But we can use our imagination. We're going to say that this is a picture of Jesus. I think he would have a warm smile like that, don't you think? Yeah. So there once was a man who loved big enough to try to change the world. And he came to show the world what it meant to be a child of God. He came to show a new way of living, a new kind of life, a life that was full of peace and comfort and forgiveness. He told people to love God, love yourself, and love others. He wanted us to all find love and be loved. Now, there were some people that didn't like what he was saying. Oof. They did not want to live that way because change is hard, right? And sometimes it's really hard to love ourselves. And sometimes it's really hard to love other people and to love God. Those things are hard. And so they didn't like what he was saying. You know what else they didn't like? They didn't like that people were following him, and they were kind of worried that they were going to lose power and control over people. They thought, oh no, if people start listening to this guy, we're in trouble. So the next part of the story, this is the really hard part of the story, because this part is the part where some people did not nice things to Jesus. They didn't want people to follow him, and they didn't want people to learn this new way of living. So they had Jesus die, which is really, really hard, and it hurts our hearts. Have you ever had someone you love die? Yeah. Does it feel like your heart is literally breaking in pieces? Can you rip that for me? Sometimes when someone we love dies, does it feel like that? Grown-ups, do you know what I'm talking about? Like when someone you love has passed and it feels like your heart has been broken in pieces? I think that's probably how the people that were following Jesus felt. They felt like their hearts were broken into pieces. This is the yucky part of the story, but this is the part where I tell you it's not the end of the story. It's not the end of the story at all. So after Jesus had died, they put his body in a cave. It was kind of like, it was a tomb, but it was kind of like a big cave. And they put this huge, huge stone right in front of the cave. It was so big and so heavy, it would take multiple strong people to move that stone. It could not be moved by one person. It would take lots of people to move this really heavy, heavy stone. Now, that's the hard part. But let me tell you, it gets better, because a few days later, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb where Jesus was. And when she got there, that stone was gone. And she went in and looked, and Jesus' body wasn't there. And now she's heartbroken because he has died. But now she thinks something has happened to him, and she's very confused. Like, who would take his body? But then Jesus appeared to her. Jesus appeared to her. He was alive. I'm sure her brain was about scrambled. Wouldn't you be so confused if someone you loved, you had thought had died and came back to life? Your brain would not be able to handle that. And that's why I say the story is so mysterious and it is hard to understand. And that's okay. It's okay for us to not always understand. But we can have faith in the story. And what we can learn from this story is that the cross, it was a sad thing, but the raising of Jesus made it a good thing. It reminds us that no matter how hard things get, and things get hard in life, if you're a human, which I think all of you are, pretty sure, if you're human, yucky things are going to happen, right? Things are going to make us sad and mad and frustrated, and we're just going to sometimes have yucky feelings. But the cross and the raising of Jesus, it reminds us that we're never alone, that God is with us all the time, even through the yuckiest, hardest, most painful things. We are never alone. And this story can remind us to be brave enough to love God, love ourselves, and love other people. Now, normally, on a normal Sunday, we go upstairs, right? And we have kids' church. Today, because it's a fifth Sunday and it's Easter, we're staying in grown-up church today. Now, I would love for you guys to sit with me if you want to. I'm going to come sit over here, and you guys are welcome to sit with me, or you're welcome to go back with your grown-ups and sit. You guys ready? Okay.